Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com. And the trade deadline is just hours away at the time of making this video. And I'm sure, you know what, I'm confident that the Chiefs make at least one other move at the deadline today. But even if they don't, there's still a move out there that they can make. One that has been talked about that I haven't made a video on yet, which is why I'm making a video now because I really wanted to talk about it. But as you can tell from the title and everything, Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. has been linked to the Kansas City Chiefs for some time now, really dating back to last year when he got released from the Cleveland Browns. The Chiefs were a heavy suitor for Odell Beckham Jr. before he ultimately chose to sign with the Los Angeles Rams. And obviously, Odell Beckham Jr. went on to be a difference maker in the Rams playoff run. And you almost wonder if things would have gone differently had he chosen the Kansas City Chiefs, or if the Kansas City Chiefs were able to strike a deal with Odell Beckham Jr., because they certainly lacked that second option, that second receiving option all year long. It's definitely something that could have changed a game like the AFC Championship loss to the Bengals. And, you know, the Chiefs had to trade Tyreek Hill due to circumstances this offseason, and they revamped their receiver core, adding guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who both have been coming on as of lately. And then they made a move for Kadarius Tony a couple days ago as part of their trade deadline activity, because, you know, I'm assuming they're going to make at least one more move. I'm not sure what that would be, but Kadarius Tony is someone that they were also able to get from the New York Giants, right? But I also bring up Kadarius Tony because that's a move now that kind of crowds the Chiefs receiver room a little bit. And a lot of people are wondering if Odell Beckham Jr. is still a possibility after bringing in Kadarius Tony. Before the Kadarius Tony move, Aaron Wilson of Pro Football Network, who is very connected, reported that the Chiefs were a team to watch for Odell Beckham Jr. He specifically mentioned the Chiefs. It wasn't like something where it was like, oh, the Chiefs kind of make sense for Odell Beckham Jr. It's no, like the Chiefs are very interested in Odell Beckham Jr. And obviously he's the kind of guy that, you know, could be the difference in a game against, I don't know, the Buffalo Bills, because the Buffalo Bills are also another team that are interested in Odell Beckham Jr., right? And if he went to the Bills, that would be kind of scary. So it's almost one of those things where, hey, he might not work out in Kansas City, but if you sign him, you at least keep him from going somewhere else. And there's still a chance that he could be pretty good for Kansas City. Obviously, we don't know where Odell Beckham Jr. is at right now as far as his health, because he only tore his ACL, in January, February? So he probably wouldn't be a factor until late season and going into the playoffs, especially in the Chiefs offense. And, you know, I hate saying that because I hate the whole trope that it takes like, oh, so long for a receiver to learn the Andy Reid offense, but we've seen the Chiefs bring in guys and we have to wait a really long time to see anything from them. So, you know, I'm not sure. I don't know how impactful Odell Beckham Jr. will be, or I don't know how impactful he would be for the Kansas City Chiefs or anyone for that matter. And look, I'm not saying Odell Beckham Jr. isn't still a good player, that he can't be a good receiver. Obviously, he has all the talent in the world. He was once the best receiver in football, and it wasn't even close. But we are straying further away from those days as time goes along. And this torn ACL that Odell Beckham Jr. just had, you know, that's the same knee he already tore that ACL once back when he was with Cleveland. So that's a concern that I have with Odell Beckham Jr. for one. That said, I don't think it would hurt to sign him. I mean, just in general, I don't think it would hurt to sign Odell Beckham Jr. Now, in the Chiefs' case, would signing Odell Beckham Jr. still be a good idea after the Kadarius Tony trade? Well, Nate Taylor of The Athletic says that Odell Beckham Jr. is still a strong possibility for the Kansas City Chiefs, even after the Kadarius Tony trade. I think a lot of people assumed after the Tony trade that, oh, Odell is, you know, that's off the table. You can kiss that idea goodbye, right? Well, I don't think that's necessarily the case. As much as I loved the Kadarius Tony move, Kadarius Tony, I don't think I still think he can make an impact this year, okay? But I'm not going to be surprised if he doesn't really do much this year. And look, he's a guy that thus far in his NFL career hasn't really done anything. I think this is a much better situation for him than New York. I think this is a situation that can set him up to succeed. He'll be playing under Andy Reid. He'll be scheming him up, and Patrick Mahomes is a much better quarterback than Daniel Jones. The Chiefs' training staff is one that has kept their players very healthy over the last several years. All those reasons, I think, are reasons to be optimistic about Tony's outlook in Kansas City. But at the end of the day, Tony is a bit of a risk, and I think it's going to take time for him to get acclimated in this offense. And that's another move that's for the future, that's for later down the line, because you still got McCole Hardman. Sky Moore is still coming along on this offense. You already have MVS and Juju as viable options. Tony is still under contract on his rookie contract for like the next 3 years. He comes with a 5th-year option too. So he's going to be here for a while. You don't necessarily need him this year. Now, if he ends up coming along faster than anyone thought, great, cool. Then you have a good problem on your hands. But I don't think Kadarius Tony is a move that should stop the Chiefs from signing Odell Beckham Jr. And Sky Moore is like another one that I think a lot of fans will point to. Well, you also drafted Sky Moore in the 2nd round. Like, when is he going to get opportunity? Why would you sign another player over him then? Well, I think we've seen so far, and look, I'm not saying Sky Moore can't still have a role this year, but I think we have enough evidence to this point that Sky Moore is just not going to be a factor this year. Like, that's another move that is for the future. Sky Moore he's not an immediate impact guy. Okay, he's just not this year. I think we can come to that conclusion, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe after the bye week he starts to get more involved. But I mean, they traded for Tony, and then we're talking about Odell Beckham Jr. right now. I don't think Sky Moore is really going to be a factor this year. Sky Moore and Kadarius Tony, those are two players that I think will take over once McCole Hardman probably leaves in free agency. I don't think McCole Hardman comes back if I'm a betting man. I think they're kind of, replacements for him. And then, it's not a guarantee that Juju stays either. So these are moves, kind of for the future. They're more so for the future. They can help now, but they're more so for the future when talking about Sky Moore and Kadarius Tony. So all in all, those guys shouldn't stop you from signing Odell Beckham Jr. if you think he can help, because that is the type of player that if he comes here and he's healthy and he gets back to the Odell Beckham Jr. we saw last year for the Rams, that's a game changer. That's still a guy that is a mismatch for another team's 3rd cornerback, because you still got to worry about Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, MVS can still stretch the field. Odell Beckham Jr. makes this receiving core that much more dangerous, and I think there's still a real need for him. Like, you look at the Buffalo Bills, like, they got Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie. Like, that's a nice core. Like, even though there's all this chatter with the Bills maybe signing OBJ, it's like they don't really need him. I think you can make a case that, the Chiefs don't have a glaring hole at wide receiver either, don't get me wrong, but they definitely could be helped by signing OBJ. Like, I think the Bills wide receiver room, like, it's set, it's perfect, like, you don't need to mess with it. The Chiefs could benefit from adding OBJ. I think the Green Bay Packers are probably another one to watch as well for OBJ. They desperately need receiver help, and things are going south there, and they need to do whatever they can to keep Aaron Rodgers in it, because you're getting to the point where you have to worry about him and the team mentally checking out. OBJ going to Green Bay, that's one that maybe we should watch. But the Kansas City Chiefs could definitely make a compelling case. Like, hey, there's still targets for you here. There's still snaps for you here. We have a role that we, want you to step into. I also think the other players on this roster could benefit from having a guy like OBJ to play with. We have young receivers like Kadarius Tony, like Sky Moore, that could definitely benefit from taking lessons from OBJ. And people talked about how Juju Smith-Schuster is much better in a wide receiver 2 role. He could thrive playing next to OBJ. OBJ is still someone that can be a threat. He's still someone that is very dangerous. Even before he got hurt in that Super Bowl game, he was eating up the Bengals secondary. He was having a fantastic game. I love what the Chiefs have done with their wide receiver room so far. I love the way that they were able to bounce back and add good receivers even after having to trade Tyreek Hill. But I think there's still a need for OBJ. Again, not a glaring hole at the receiver position. Like, they can get by with what they have now, but adding OBJ is a move that could take you over the top. And as I've said in my past couple videos, this window is still wide open for the Chiefs, even though they took a little bit of a different approach this offseason, and some other teams, including the Buffalo Bills, made all-in moves. Like, this thing is still there for the Kansas City Chiefs taking, guys. And signing a player like OBJ for just 1 year, because, I assume it's going to be a 1-year deal if they were to pick him up. That's a move that can, it could be the difference between a Super Bowl or not, just like it was last year. It's a star-driven league, and the Bills added Von Miller this past offseason. He's a star that absolutely changed the game when the Bills played the Kansas City Chiefs and beat them. Go get OBJ and see what that can do for you. Maybe it can have a similar effect. Maybe it can flip the script back in your favor. Once again, I love the Kadarius Tony move. It may or may not work out, though. Signing OBJ is a move that would almost certainly help. Like now, like this year. It's been reported that OBJ is close to a decision and that, we could expect something around or after the deadline. So we're getting to about that time. And I definitely wanted to make a video on this topic because I never really talked about it. And it's been, a big discussion lately of whether or not the Chiefs could go after OBJ. I think it's even better that I talk about it now after the Tony trade because now people are questioning whether or not it would still be a good idea. I definitely think it would be a good idea, but I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree with anything I said? Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs should still go after OBJ? I certainly do, but want to hear from you guys. With all that being said, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, and I will see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs!